There's a fine line between charming, youthful, and understandable rebellion and agonizingly cringy, politically charged rebellion. Well, lucky for us, Nia Carlson doesn't walk that line. She's very clearly on the side of the latter. Welcome, my friends, back to the fog, a realm of wretched killers, desperate survivors, and hopeless struggles, all for the amusement of a dark entity who views all of this as a deliciously entertaining spectacle. Today, we're going to be taking a careful look at the rather popular survivor, Nia Karlsson. Nia Carlson was born in Sweden to a hardworking mother and father who gave her a relatively good life. After their move to America, Nia became depressed at having to say goodbye to her friends and connections back home. To fill the void, Nia became an avid skateboarder, a graffiti artist, and local reprobate. Her parents struggled to reach her and couldn't understand why their sweet little girl had turned into this kind of person. However, they decided to accept her new lifestyle, and this caused distance between Nia and her family. They eventually just grew used to her disappearing for nights on end, so they didn't think it was strange when Nia disappeared one night for an extraordinary long time. Little did they know just where she had ended up. Now, normally this bio portion of the character's discussion would be a lot longer, as I'd go into deep detail on the tome information about the character, but this is kind of why I don't like Nia as a character. Her tome is literally 10 memory segments, all saying pretty much the same damn thing. You can read each one, and each one is so mind-numbingly repetitive. Essentially, Nia lives in a city with a poor district that's suffering from mercury poisoning from dirty water because the big, mean mayor is redirecting clean water for his own personal use to sell. Nia, at first, has no interest in getting involved. It's not her problem. But her friend, who is trying to help sell or give away clean water to the people, basically just repeats over and over the same line. All you care about is your own self-expression, but everything is political. This all has to do with politics. Even not trying to be political is political because you're being willfully complacent of the status quo. If you really cared, you'd use your art to do something. Yeah, count how many times that kind of rhetoric is repeated. It is just so ad nauseum. So Nia finally decides to do something. And what does she decide to do? Well, she spray paints her name and her logo on an old factory that has to do with the water situation. That's not enough for her friend, who says, so what, you just tagged a place with your name. That's not enough. All you did was sell your name to the people. That doesn't make change. Art shouldn't be about expression or about influencing others. It should be about being political, because everything's political. You were taught in school not to be political. You were taught in school that art should be all about self-expression. It's not. You need to say something with your art. Yeah, it's that kind of story. So Nia finally decides to do something else, and what did she decide to do this time? She spray paints the mayor's car with a politically turned message. The mayor chases her in his car, but because it's a rainy ground, his car skids out of control and he crashes and dies. And then Nia disappears after that incident, and we all know where she ended up. Look, it's boring. It's dull. It's repetitive. You don't believe me? Go read the full thing. It's available on the wiki. Just look up Nia Carlson's tome. Go read the full thing, and you will see how nauseatingly tedious it is to read. It is the same dialogue and same political narrative repeated 10 times. And what angers me more than anything is that it tells me so little about Nia or why she does what she does. I could literally hash it down to just peer pressure. With all the other characters, we got an inside look into what they believed, what they struggled with, and how they tried to overcome it. Why couldn't the story about Nia be more about her struggling with the distance between her and her parents? Maybe why spray paint graffiti matters so much to her. Maybe we could explore how she misses her friends, but no, you literally choose to make her tome story about Nia being guilt-tripped into becoming a political activist who decides to stand up against the evil, money-hungry mayor. You know, like, there's this game, Infamous 2, where the main character is also a spray painting delinquent who runs around, but we also dive more into his character, his connection to his brother. We learn about why spray painting matters to him so much. It actually is an interesting character study. Here, it's just because silence is violence. It is infuriating. It's infuriating. But then again, maybe that was the point of her character, to be annoying. Like, there are legit moments in her story that make no sense. For example, It's argued that the environmental agencies overlook the unclean water practices to avoid lawsuits. But that's not how that works. There are plenty of lawyers and agencies who would be thrilled to take a case like this to court to try a mayor for this kind of action so that they could gain attention and draw publicity, because controversy and scandals sell. And you can't tell me that everyone is just going to ignore a massive mercury poisoning outbreak in an entire area of a city. Don't hospitals keep records? Wouldn't the police get involved with this many deaths and disabilities coming from mercury poisoning? Wouldn't there be a state of health emergency issued? Wouldn't the mayor look good for trying to help these people? Like, you know how mayors usually try to help the poor and destitute to make themselves look better? So much of this is forced and incredibly cringy to read. It reads like a bad modern day Robin Hood sketch. And Nia is no Robin Hood. Again, read it yourself to see what I mean. This crap is cringe. It is terrible. Alright, so with her story out of the way, let's talk about her perks. Nia comes with 3 perks, like all the survivors: Balanced Landing, Urban Evasion, and Streetwise. Now, Balanced Landing is actually a very popular perk and great for being in chases. When falling from a great height, a survivor normally would be staggered for a moment and slowed down briefly. But Balanced Landing not only removes the stagger, but also gives you a 150% speed burst for 3 seconds while running. That's great. I love that, because the killers don't get access to that, and it allows you to make some very quick escapes against a killer who's been chasing you. I like that. A lot of people like that. Next is Urban Evasion. It increases your crouching movement speed considerably, but I'm not going to lie, it really isn't that useful unless you're kind of going for the super stealth play where you know you can stay out of the killer's sight or stick to the edges of the map to avoid his general search area. I've seen very few people use this one. Streetwise, though, I know a lot of Nia users like this one. It's a little bit more useful. Streetwise decreases the depletion rate of any item you carry up to 25% maximum. And that means that any item you use, you can use a lot longer. This ability also extends to other survivors when within 8 meters of you. Now, you might think the best way to use this is with toolboxes, so that you could use them longer on generators, right? No, that's assuming Nia isn't an annoying piece of trash. Most use it with flashlights. Longer time to blind the killers mean more fun for the Nia. It's true. Oh man. Anyway, let's wrap this up. If it wasn't already obvious, I'm not a fan of Nia. Her appearance always struck me as unappealing. Not that I need the female survivors to all look attractive, but she looks so butch ugly, and most of her outfits don't help with that. I know I'm not the only one who thinks this too, as Salmonation has made a running joke in his videos that Nia is secretly the entity and desperately trying to hide it, speaking with a low man's voice and having a face about as appealing as Quasimodo being door slammed by Uma Thurman in Kill Bill.
Hey, what's up, snacks? It's me, Nia, and I'm here to prove I'm a real survivor and not a killer, or the entity, as the lamestream media likes to portray me. That joke is so 2016. I'm a real human girl that eats babies and walks on cats, just like everyone else, alright? So let's prove this.
But more than her unappealingness is the fact that there's so little to redeem her character. Not all the survivors have to be good or morally altruistic. Far from it. Sometimes I think it's nice to see a complete douche end up in the entity's realm as a sweet bit of karma. But with Nia, her story amounts to: girl moves from home country to America and becomes a delinquent who spray paints public property and skateboards. She decides to become a political activist because silence is violence. It's just, why? You know, why? With characters like Dwight, Claudette, and Meg, I felt bad that they were here. They were genuinely good people, and I understood the trials and difficulty they'd faced along their journey. Dwight was an unpopular loser who just wanted to help a colleague who cared about him and ended up paying for it. Meg was an athlete who refused to give up and sink to the level of her rivals so she could prove to someone who was against her that she was superior to them by winning rather than cheating. And Claudette struggled to feel accepted by a mother who couldn't understand her passion for the strange or different, and eventually won over her mother so she could pursue her dreams. Nia spray tags public property to fight against the man because a friend of hers guilt tripped her into doing it. Wow. What a hero. I'm sorry this one wasn't as detailed as some of the others, and I'm sure there are some Nia fans out there coming to hang me in the comment section, but don't you worry. You'll all get your revenge on me yet, because the next killer I'll be looking at is one that I 100% am awful with. So the survivors, including Nia, will get some payback on me for sure. Thank you for joining me in the fog, and I'll see you next time.